I want to hear y'all's thoughts on Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
The Bigfoot.
The Squatch.
The one with the big feet. Bigfoot!
Yeah. You know, the Bigfoot's foot. We're starting there.
Yeah.
It's an amazing foot. I'm serious. The Sasquatch foot can bend in the middle.
What?
Yeah, it's got like a hinge in it.
Okay.
So it can like go straight up a mountain because it has like a hinge.
So that's how big it is, because usually it's either a curve, and people who get flat feet are made fun of. But the next person would be an angled in the middle of the flat foot.
So they're like,
and that's what Bigfoot
like
is.
the gods.
Yeah, apparently. I don't know.
Yeah, if you get made fun of being flat foot, if your foot's
I'm just saying, I saw somebody on TikTok last night that said like they just like a dude that just put his foot down on the ground, and it was the flattest foot I've ever seen. And so like everyone has a little bit of an arch. Bigfoot has to have such a foot that's so big that you're saying it has an arch in the middle. Like
It has a hinge. They call it the mid-tarsal
hinge.
They call it the mid-tarsal break.
Are we talking like toe to heel, like a V?
No, we're talking
No,
right in the
taco?
middle, right in the middle, like
like your toes go up.
yeah, like his toes can go up. Yeah,
Wow.
so you can see it in the footprints of the Sasquatch, but you know, more of like the scientists. We brought on some scientists on the show who talk about, you know, the anomalies of the foot itself, that it can't be faked because it's such a unique foot itself. But
Like,
obviously they're not wearing shoes.
Like no one would think to fake it like that.
Yeah,
because they're also measuring like the weight. Like they're measuring like the level of the ground, the weight that it would take to put down, and so there's a lot of that goes into it. Right?
yeah. I feel like you're an expert and you see these casts, and you're like, this thing's not fake. It's not. It's just so many little details here that you can't fake, and you'd have to know anatomy, and you'd have to be able to, you know what I'm saying? So,
It's similar. Like, is that in every culture? Like in most cultures, there's always a Bigfoot, kind of like, because we've seen like dragons and angels have always like in literature of cultures. Like, is that the same thing with Bigfoot?
well,
I don't think it's ambiguous. I don't think there's
no, because some of them are smaller. Like
Yeah.
the North American ones are sort of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
And some of the ones in like Australia are shorter, 4 foot,
Weird.
5 foot, 6
You know what's
foot.
fascinating about that when you ask about the Native American stuff is that, like, do you realize that, like, when they have the totem poles, right, that every one of those is a real animal on the totem pole except for Bigfoot, right? So you have this idea that, like, these are all the real things, so why would they put something that they don't believe to be real? They thought that the Sasquatch or the wild man was the protector of the forest, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how there was. If you talk to Native American folks that have passed down the traditions, they'll say that you don't go these places, and he's the protector of the forest, but you leave them alone. You kind of
So
stay
did
out
they
of their
fear
space.
him, or was it like a respect kind of thing?
It was both. I think it was it was the kind of like, you know, fear of God, right? You respect God completely, and we're not diminishing.
So you think Bigfoot
that.
is God?
Wait, breaking news.
No, I mean, but,
Yeah.
no, but the analogy there is that
I got you.
You respect this thing, so you stay away from.
You got to be on your game here.
Yeah, you do.
Sasquatch is fascinating, and the show started there with the big guy.
Yeah.
And we started bringing on dudes talking about Sasquatch, which leads into like other big beings, and we start talking about giants and things. So
Is Bigfoot the gateway drug?
it
for
is
conspiracy theorists.
Oh yeah,
I've heard recently. I heard last night that if you know a person,
that's
who
our first
owns-
episode. That's what it's titled.
Yeah. If they say if you know somebody who owns chickens, they're a conspiracy theorist.
That's funny.
Because if you own chickens, you probably have somewhat of a distrust in the food department in America. And then if you have a mistrust in the food department, then you probably have a trust in the pharmaceuticals, and it just continues from there. So it's like owning chickens is a gateway drug for conspiracy podcasts.
Let's make that the question.
Yeah.
Guy, everyone listening, do you own chickens? I'm interested. Let's do a poll.
Yeah, I would love to know.
Yeah.
I have chickens.
I do too.
I do not. My wife always wants
Yet.
it, but it's
Yet.